Hi, welcome back to another video from X-Tor Junction. This is a follow-up to our original film on cardboard locomotives that we build, and we've been asked if we could show some pictures of our later models. People have also asked, how do we build them? And of course also, how did we start in it? How did cardboard models start? Lots of questions, and in this film we're going to hopefully try and fill you in on one or two of the answers. Okay, well, how did it start? Now there's a question. Originally, of course, cardboard modelling was a Victorian hobby. They called it cardboard engineering. Wonderful title, typical Victorian. And they built all sorts of things. They found that if cardboard was treated correctly, you could actually handle card like wood. You could carve it, bend it, shape it, do anything you wanted with it. And over the years, of course, lots of people had a go at building models in card. Lots of model kits were made. One of the most famous, of course, that came out in the 1950s were the micro models. And they produced lots of railway subjects, locomotives, buildings. They did ships, they did famous buildings like Westminster Abbey, all sorts of things. And these are wonderful little models, not for the beginner. And nowadays there's even an American company that are making new micro models. They're not as good as the old. I'll show you some of these made up. Yes, as you see, they were quite small. And okay, so for myself, how did it start? Well, going back to the 1970s, I was a member of Canterbury Model Railway Club. And one of the members there was a gentleman by the name of Bob Frid. Well, Bob Frid is more than an expert in making cardboard models. He's an artist. He can line and letter a locomotive freehand in any scale. Absolute fabulous model maker. I got to know Bob Frid, and I saw a model he built of Southern Railway M7, and that inspired me. And of course, over the years I got to meet other people. I mean, Alan Downs, famous builder of model buildings, of course. I got to know Alan very well, and several others. And I even finished up helping out once a month for many years down at Pendon, a driver on Dartmoor, and of course with their wonderful models and model makers. But I thought to myself, well, okay, I've been on holiday to South Wales, and rummaging around in the scrapyard as we all did down at Barry Island, I found the locomotive Manston, Battle of Britain class, ex-ramjet engine. I mentioned it to my brother at a model railway exhibition that I staged that year in Margate, 1978 actually, and he said, why don't we do something about it? So we did. We went on Southern TV, we raised the money, and we eventually bought the locomotive, and it's now down on the Swanage Railway. But I wanted something to promote the idea, so I sat down and I built my first cardboard model railway engine, and it was a very crude model of Manston. It's a 5-inch gauge, and you can see it in the photograph here. There we are. I took that on Southern Television, and it did the trick, and eventually the money rolled in and we bought the engine. But it inspired me to build other model locos. I think my second one was a Ginty, LMS Ginty. That's built to 5-inch, and a Great Western Prairie. And you'll see all pictures of these, and I've included one or two photos of exhibitions and various things of the past, which I think you'll find quite interesting. Okay, that's basically how I got started in it. Um, as to how we built them, I thought you might like to see some of them part built, and I'll show you some of the parts that I make to make up a complete loco. Okay, see you shortly. Okay, where do we start? Well, obviously you need a drawing. This is just the side elevation of a Great Western King, but you also have a front and a back view and the top elevation as well. And from that, and lots of research, you can get anything. Now, following this, you have to decide what card you're going to use to build it. Well, different card for different things. For instance, the frames will be a different thickness to the card that's used to roll the boiler. Somebody once asked me if it was special card, and I told them, yes, it is. It has to be free. Well, we used to scrounge a lot of ex-display card from shop windows, that sort of thing. These days we just buy the various thicknesses online. You can buy it very cheap. And once you've got the drawing, the first thing you make are the frames. That is the frame for a Bullard Pacific. You've made the frame, you've marked the positions of the axles, you punched them out. It's all got to be square, of course. And once you've got the frame, you build everything to that. And it's the same with the tender. This is the tender frame for a T9. You can see that's an 8-wheel tender. Very simple. Then once you've built the frames, you start thinking about the wheels. And this shows you how the wheel, or a basic wheel, is constructed. Because they're not all the same. You start off with a basic pattern for a wheel. That's a Great Western driving wheel. That's then laid onto cards, you mark round it, you cut it out, you put that back on, you cut all your spokes out till you're finished up with the basic cut out wheel. It's all done through a series of layers. You glue a tyre around that, the flange on the back, and then the face of the spokes are done with half cocktail sticks. And then there is your crank pin that takes your rods. So that then is the basic wheel. And you can do anything from that. For instance, this is the tender wheel for a Bullard Pacific, and you see they're made slightly different. They're a BFB block wheel in a different way, but there you have it. There's your basic wheel. These days we only build to 2.5 inch gauge. That's the only scale we work in now, and we find everything we want is ideal in that scale. And I'm currently building a new Bullard Pacific. This will be Fighter Command, and you can see there, that's how it all goes together. Then on top of that you just build up the frames, from the frames the casing of the cab, of course, and lots of patience. And then you finish up, of course, with this one. This one's been built by Nigel. This is an LMS Ginty, 2.5 inch gauge. You can see there where it's all been built up. You've still got the inside of the cab to go, but that's coming along nicely. That won't be long before that's finished, and then that can go on the exhibition list. So you see, anything is possible. I have at the moment half built a steam crane, breakdown steam crane, which will be quite nice when it's finished. And we've got lots of ideas for coaches. An auto coach, I've built models of an auto coach, Great Western. So yeah, that's basically how they're built. And if you've got any questions, please either put a message below or email me, and I'll be more than happy to come back to you and try and answer them for you. Right. new models and future models. The last Ramsgate tram with the hanging strap cut down by my father, and the Great Western Prairie tank, of course. And an LMS Duchess at City of London, lovely loco. And the Tipfield Thunderbolt. And if you've got Thunderbolt, you've got to have 1401, the other star of the film. Southern Railway U1 class locomotive. And an old pannier repainted to go with the auto coach. A Somerset and Dorset 7F, a much loved loco. And a Mickey Mouse tank, a BR Standard 2. And Nigel's last built model, a Great Western 2200. And there's my auto coach. Nearly finished. It's got full interior with all seats, pictures, carpets, etc. Pity we won't see it all once the roof's on. And a Great Western Bulldog Jackdaw. I should be building a coach for that. And the one I'm working on now, a rebuilt Battle of Britain Lord Dowding.